We learned that there were 6 massive ordnance penetrators dropped on Fordo. And as the president wrote on Truth Social, that Fordo site is gone. My sources tell me that those bunker buster bombs would have been dropped through the air ventilation shafts at Fordo. So most likely 3 bunker busters through each of those shafts. We had been focusing on the entrances. There are 2 entrances to the Fordo site, which is 300 feet underground. We've also reported that the MOP bomb can penetrate about 200 feet underground, but they work in pairs. The B-2 bomber, which flew out of Whiteman Air Force Base, they fly nonstop and are refueled along the way to this site at Fordo. They drop one MOP bomb, a 30,000-pound bomb that goes about 200 feet down. There's soil that is then removed, exposed, and then the second bomb, which drops into a hole that has a radius of about 25 feet. It goes into the same hole and can go even deeper.
America has decided to bomb Iran, and new details have emerged on the 6 bunker-busting bombs that were dropped on a major Iranian nuclear site.
What we're looking at here is we're being told this is, I think, anywhere from just shy of 200 to 300 feet in depth. There are all kind of reports out there of 1,000 foot, but I think that's more propaganda. So what you end up doing is if you saw the movie, the latest Top Gun movie, eerily enough, this is that plot kind of coming to fruition in real life. It's not just one bomb. It'll be a bomb after a bomb to get through that penetration.
And just lastly, that's what you're talking about. Can penetrate up to 200 feet below the surface. And then, of course, we'll see it try and put the second one in there and go down in there. Yeah. Let's bring in David Burke, our Top Gun and former Top Gun instructor, retired U.S. Marine Corps officer. Now, David, I don't know how well we did that, but you know this better than anybody. Talk to us about, questions over whether or not this can successfully be done.
Joey Jones just crushed that explanation. You guys hit the nail on the head. So really well done. This absolutely can be done. There is not a cave in the world deep enough to defend itself against the American military if it needs to hit it. And you described the weapon system and the aircraft and the mating of that exactly right. Now, this is a hard problem to solve, but it is absolutely a solvable problem with this system.
Fox News alert. I just spoke to the President of the United States. I have some new information and breaking details to share about tonight's what is historic air campaign. Now, tonight, Iran's nuclear ambitions, they are officially dead. It appears the United States just completely obliterated Iran's top secret Fordo nuclear facility with 6 huge bunker buster bombs. It was originally speculated that you would only need 2. It turns out they used 5 to 6 dropped from America's stealth B-2 bombers. And that's not all. 2 other major Iranian nuclear sites, Natanz and Isfahan, were wiped out with 30 Tomahawk missiles launched by American submarines some 400 miles away. Everyone is out of harm's way for now. That does not mean that American assets in the region are not at risk, and we are monitoring the Iranian response or potential response all throughout the night.
The Iranian regime has been at war with the American people for 45 years, and their pursuit of a nuclear weapon was the final straw. And I thought when President Trump said tonight that they've been killing and maiming our people, and he decided a long time ago that this was not going to continue.
A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier.
So this was a night of historic proportions. The president was courageous in making this move and making this decision. And as you said, I think we're going to see the fruits of this decision tonight play out for many, many years to come. And if the Nobel Peace Prize were worth anything anymore, I would say the president certainly deserves one.
Congratulations, President Trump. Your bold decision to target Iran's nuclear facilities with the awesome and righteous might of the United States will change history. In Operation Rising Lion, Israel has done truly amazing things. But in tonight's action against Iran's nuclear facilities, America has been truly unsurpassed. It has done what no other country on earth could do. History will record that President Trump acted to deny the world's most dangerous regime the world's most dangerous weapons. His leadership today has created a pivot of history that can help lead the Middle East and beyond to a future of prosperity and peace. President Trump and I often say, peace through strength. First comes strength, then comes peace. And tonight, President Trump and the United States acted with a lot of strength. President Trump, I thank you. The people of Israel thank you. The forces of civilization thank you. God bless America. God bless Israel. And may God bless our unshakable alliance, our unbreakable faith.
This effectively destroys Iran's capability to enrich uranium at this level that they would need. There are thousands of centrifuges in these sites, and the fact that the Americans have the bombs and have decided to use them to strike deep underground puts Iran in a position where at some point it will have to make a decision about the future of this regime. Because the Israelis went after many of the air defense systems around these nuclear sites. They went after the sites that they could target with the fighter jets that they have. We talked with those Israeli pilots earlier in the week. And now tonight, President Trump ordering this strike, importantly against the Fordo nuclear facility deep underground, very close to the Iranian capital of Tehran, indicating that this strike will not only damage but likely destroy, if successful, Iran's nuclear program and their ability to go and get closer and closer to a nuclear weapon. We expect to get more reaction from Israeli officials tonight, Brett, about this key strike that will change the course of the Middle East forever, and also what they believe the Iranian response will be, if any, to these strikes. The Iranians still have the capability to strike Israel.
So Fordo, we understand, is gone. That is significant because that was the main nuclear enrichment site, and it was deeply fortified in that mountain. But then there are the two other sites. You have Natanz, which had 3 underground enrichment facilities. Those 3, we understand that 30 Tomahawk missiles were fired from U.S. submarines about 400 miles away from these sites, the sites at Isfahan and Natanz. Those U.S. submarines were most likely Ohio-class converted guided missile subs. Most likely the USS Georgia or Florida were involved in those strikes. What I'm being told, though, is that Isfahan is an even harder target than Fordo. We hadn't talked about it as much this week because all the focus was on the B-2s and the MOP bombs and Fordo. But Isfahan is where the uranium hexafluoride is, where the centrifuges are made. And my understanding is there is a tunnel into the mountain there, and it is much, much deeper than at Fordo. And so we will have to wait and see the bomb damage assessment at that site to see how, whether it was completely destroyed. I'm told from very, very knowledgeable sources that that was most likely the hardest site. So we'll have to see.
I know we're still getting new information coming in here, Jennifer, but just for kind of clarification here, we have been told, or we've been kind of reporting that the B-2s went in and they went into Fordo and may have dropped as many as 6 of the bunker busters, and there were as many as 30 Tomahawks fired at Natanz and Isfahan. And I'm wondering, do we know, have we ruled out the possibility of any bunker busters being used on Isfahan and on Natanz?
I'm told that the bunker busters were used at Fordo and that it was the Tomahawks that targeted Natanz and Isfahan. So at this point in time, you would have had at least 3 B-2 bombers there above Fordo. Again, when we woke up this morning, all eyes were on the reports and the sightings, the radar trackers, the flight trackers, who saw that there were those 6 B-2 bombers flying towards Guam. And now if you were to fly from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri all the way to Iran, let's say, that's a 30-hour straight flight. So those bombers could not possibly have been involved in this strike. That's when we look at what would have been flying east. Clearly, some B-2 bombers from Whiteman flew east. And that's why we saw this week about 30 air refuelers that were positioned in Europe and along the way and throughout the Middle East, because they would have been required to create an air refueling bridge to get those B-2s. It's a 15-hour flight if you go east from Whiteman to Fordo. And so those bombers would have flown east, and they would have been refueled along the way, and they would be on their way back home to Whiteman as we speak.
This issue is really divisive. There are people who see Iran as, if not the biggest, then one of the biggest sponsors of terror in the whole entire world. And they see and look at their past of how many U.S. troops have been deleted due to their actions. And so right now they are happy with President Trump's very strong and decisive moves. Then there's the non-interventionist camp, and those people are just, hey, hands off. I don't want America involved in foreign people's conflicts. I don't want our troops over there. I don't want our money going over there. And then there's the camp that I'm the least concerned about, which is just, if Biden had done this, then they would have loved it. But because it's Trump, they hate it. And they're just not even thinking about any of the issues at all. It's just Trump bad. To be honest, I'm a little bit of camp one and a little bit of camp two. I'm a very anti-war, pro-peace individual. However, I am concerned about Iran getting a hold of a nuclear weapon and what they would do with that. I definitely don't want our troops on the ground in foreign conflicts. And I am also concerned with, but I don't think that this is going to happen, but Pakistan decided to use their nukes in retaliation for what's been done to Iran. But that's just what I think. I would love to know what you think. So you got to let me know in the comments section below. What camp are you in? Do you think that this was a great idea? Do you think that this was a horrible idea? Or are you somewhere in the middle? You can use my Buy Me a Coffee link to buy Leroy a dog treat. Leroy, stop that. You're so cute. Oh, I love you. I love you. You guys steal the show. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Red Dawn Daily with your host, me, Dawn Marie, and sometimes Leroy. Leroy, you're not bored, are you? Leroy, did you know that 9 out of 10 people only watch to see you? Yeah. I'm just kind of here holding space for you. It's true. It's true. Leroy, you're so much fun. You're way more fun than any puppet. Right, Leroy?